What is up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast, here with my good friend and co host, Kevin Lambert of the Entertainment Headquarters. And this is the Cinematic Synergy, where once a month he and I alternate picks, choose a movie, sit down and review it. This time it was his choice, and he chose an interesting 2009 science fiction horror film called Splice. Uh, Before we get into the directors and all that, like, what made you choose this particular film?
Well, since you've mentioned the director, he was one of my. Well, the director is one of the reasons I chose this film because I like a lot of his movies because he does a lot of psychological horror type stuff or science fiction stuff. Like the director who was called I hope I can say his name right, Vincenzo Natali. He's, I think, Italian, I think, maybe. And he's he did the film Cube.
Okay, yeah, I know that film very well.
Yeah, he did the film Cube, and he did another film, which I'll tell you because it's quite. I think you would like this film as well. It's called Come True. Don't know if you've ever seen that film. That I think that's a film you would like. It's
Wait a minute, is that from 2020?
I think it is from August the 30th, 2020. It came out.
I actually did a review on that with Nico. Yep, I love that film. I actually bought it, so I actually own that.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I chose this director in this particular film because I like his films. I especially love The Cube. I think it's a classic, and also I hadn't seen this film for a good few years, and I thought it was a nice time to just revisit it.
Yep. And so this is, like I said, 2009 science fiction horror film directed by Vincenzo Natali, stars Adrien, Brody, Sarah Polley, and Delphine Chenet, or Chenet, however you want to pronounce it. Looks like it's a French last name. One thing I kind of looked when I see the particular creature, I kept thinking it was Anya Taylor-Joy because it just looked like her a little bit, which is not that flattering because it's like a creature, but it did kind of look like her a little bit, which was funny.
In my head, even when I selected this, and when I seen the screenshot of the alien looks like something like as well from Battle Angel Alita as well. Like the effects, and I said to myself, I wonder if Anubis will think it's Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, so basically the plot here is you have some genetic engineers, Clive and Elsa, played by Brody and Polley, who are splicing animal DNA and creating hybrids for medical use at a company called NERD, Nuclear Exchange Research and Development. Their job is to try to create revolutionary human animal hybrids and to help basically cure diseases and stuff like that through different forms. But initially they end up creating these two creatures. They look kind of like blobs or larvae a little bit, but one's like a female and male. And so they're kind of coexisting and doing these weird things together. But eventually their higher ups are basically telling them that the funding is running out unless they find something or create something that's gonna change the world. Because it's usually how these kind of stories go, where they're being funded for so long until they can't do it anymore because there's nothing really shown. Like there's so much testing and all this other stuff. So we kind of know where this plot is going to go eventually. Mm-hmm. Do you want to kind of lay out exactly why they're doing and why?
So, of course, you've mentioned at the beginning you have these two engineers who are working together for this medical company, and they're basically they're working together to make these hybrids so then they can test on the hybrids for medical cures or find antidotes for certain illnesses. And so when they first do the first experiment, they created them two larvae type. They look like, if you're a fan of kaiju, they look like Mothra larvae. And they've got these long extending tongue things that come out and they like start to interact with one another, which is a success. But once they are told, the funding to disappear, this is where I feel like Elsa, the character, Elsa, she basically, there's something about her character that I found very strange because she's a engineer, genetic engineer, but at the same time, she's career driven. She's like constantly looking for something. Where Clive, he also is career driven, but he knows when to stop.
Yeah.
He knows when, to pull the trigger when they've gone too far, where she's constantly drilling forward for answers or for experiments. And this is when she makes the choice with Clive to secretly behind the company's back to do a human animal hybrid, where before the DNA and everything they were using was purely animal based. And so then they of course decide that we're going to create this entity secretly, which they do in like a remote area in this woodland area. And this is where they create this life form who's like a human animal hybrid who they name Drea, who starts off as this young infant. And the original thing that was going to happen, Clive and Elsa were going to basically terminate it after it had been created, but then suddenly she begins to have a motherly bond with Drea, this young experiment. And so because they now have this bond, she chooses not to terminate it and basically watch it grow and see how things pan out with this young experiment / child.
Yeah, the thing that I've kind of learned through watching this is, and that's not to deter people from going out or written or even just watch. I think this is on Tubi or something like that right now. But anyway,
well, it's on Tubi, but it's also, I watched this free on YouTube.
Yeah. So, but the other thing I found out like about this film is that, to be completely honest, like Brody's character and Polley's character are not very. I didn't find myself really liking them too much because they both had some very dark faults that I just like, oh my God, what is going on? Because you kind of mentioned how Elsa was basically career driven and she just would kind of go to great lengths to get what she wants. And then, of course, by the time she gets there, she like is attached. So then her motherly instincts kick in and she's doing this thing where she's protecting this creature. Whereas Clive, he's kind of on board with all the scientific part, but then he's like, look, he treats it like he doesn't have like any real empathy for the creature. So it's kind of like at first he's just kind of like, no, this is just a project, So yeah. They both come across very unlikable for a good portion of this movie. So
yeah, like you want to have sympathy for her. It's at certain points of the movie, but then when it comes to Clive, like you see, he has like this. He's very like rule oriented. So basically, when they created this thing which they shouldn't have done, he's gave in to Elsa because there's like a flirtation thing there, and then he gives in, does what he has to do to please her. But then when it goes too far, he then wants to go backwards, which he can't, and that's when you see, like you said, the sides of him where he doesn't care and he's quite happy to just terminate this newly formed creature, which is now developed into a person with a personality. And then of course she's now got this motherly bond, but at the same time she's got that motherly bond, she's also quite frankly just using Drea, this young creature who, she's acting like she cares, but deep down it's all for her own purpose and her own, her gain. And the one you feel sorry for and the one you gain sympathy for is Drea, the creature.
Mm-hmm.
Because
go ahead.
It's because, like with Drea, she's been created out of no free will, out of her own will, and she's like learning things as she goes. So you see, and this is the thing throughout the course of the movie, as they're like putting things together and hiding her existence and like lying to people and all that. You've got Drea who's like this innocent life form in the beginning, who's like learning different things and learn personality traits and learning like how to be kind or control our anger. And they think, right, well, probably can control her and keep her safe and keep her hidden. But then, as you know, as the film progresses and Drea learns more, her personality changes and she then starts to grow, and that's when things then start to take like a dark turn.
Yeah, so obviously the lesson in this film, as it goes along, is that you have to be careful when you play with creating stuff, and especially things like this, because of how out of control it can get out real fast. Like, obviously at the beginning we see this creature, and it's growing at a very fast rate, and so they figure that it will probably die off, within a year or whatever, because it's growing so fast. And so they want to observe it. But then when Elsa starts getting attached, she's trying to teach it things, which she does, is talking and reading and stuff like that. But then at the same time, like, because Dren starts to grow, she, at one point she becomes almost like a little teenager and then a young woman in her form. She sees Clive and Elsa have sex for the first time, and then so she's curious. And so we kind of see the same things we would see with like a normal kid who gets curious about certain things in life. But at the same time, one of my favorite scenes is the revelation when Clive and Elsa are supposed to be working on those two little symbiotic creatures that they created first.
Yeah, Fred and Ginger.
Yeah, they aren't really paying attention to everything with that because they've been so focused on Dren. So when they finally go to do their presentation, shit turns south because one of them, the female, turns into a male. Like, it has a way to change its sexual identity. And so then the two males become combative, and then it just becomes like a clusterfuck where they attack each other and destroy things. We got all these public mainstream reporters and other scientists there, and all of a sudden blood's like splattering everywhere. So it's like that just turns into a big mess, and that again, that shows you how their creations are starting to get beyond them because they're not being careful about how they're doing their development and scientific research. So that obviously tells you at that moment that Dren has that possibility because she has the same type of DNA as these creatures.
Yeah. But there's like a couple of reveals that happen throughout the course of this thing. Like you see, like when Elsa's like, she's like mothering, but then she sees like Drea's now, because she is at a scene, is now getting like sexually active. Like, Clive shouldn't really be doing the things he done, but then because he's a man and he's selfish, he gives into his urges and has sex with this creature. Now, you don't know what could have entered his body if you think about it, or what he's given her in her body and how that's going to go. But Elsa allows it because it's a curiosity, and it's like she thinks, well, if something matures out of this, then it's more gain for me. So it's more selfishness on her part. And when
which
that
is such a crazy thing because, before Clive even has sex with Dren, he has a moment when she's younger where she's basically not eating, she's not doing anything. She's like, they think she's dying. And so, Elsa's like freaking the fuck out, like hard. Like, she's like, do something. He's like, what am I supposed to do? So Clive does what he thinks he's best. He's going to try to drown her. He doesn't even, he figures he's going to put it out of misery because they put it into like some ice water in a tub. And so when he does it, he finds out that Dren's actually amphibious because of the gills, like because of her DNA. And so that actually saves her. And so, there's this moment where Elsa's like, well, you knew that, right? That she was amphibious. He's like, yeah, I did. I don't think he did.
No. And then because of the incidents with Ginger and Fred, one turning male, because I had the start of the film was this lovely moment where the tongues came out and they wrapped around each other and they basically started mating or at least communicating. And then when the bloodshed happens, it was like, oh shit. And then as soon as they said, well, Fred's still male, and then they said, oh well, Ginger's obviously changed her sex into a male, and now it's gotten aggressive and killed Fred. As soon as that happened, I was like, well, I know where this is going to go. Yeah. And they quickly then go back to this forest retreat area where they basically come across Drea, who's now dying. And they assume she's dying, and the people from the laboratory come because it's now been all kind of exposed. They basically end up burying Drea in the woods behind where they're staying. And, you know, they're trying to cover up the tracks of everything they've done, because if they get found out, then they're going to be in deep shit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, just as Clive and Elsa are there's like a rumbling behind them, and all of a sudden bursting out of the ground is Drea standing, who's like matured, who's fully transformed, and just like what happened with Ginger, has now changed sex to a male and is now super strong and aggressive. And basically it's like a full-on battle between Drea, Clive, and the guys from the lab who he just kind of ripped apart and like take care.
One of them was his brother, which, works at the lab, and he actually had gotten attacked earlier in the film when Dren was younger. But just to kind of give an idea what she looks like. So, obviously it's got these weird like hand things at the bottom of her feet. The tail has like the stinger. So like, I don't even know if they mentioned like what kind of animal DNA they were mixing in with, but it must have been a few different things if she was amphibious. But clearly the little stinger there like injects venom. It's like a defensive mechanism for her. But it actually comes into play later when you're talking about the final like moments of the movie. But it's just interesting because you go from this little creature when it's first born, it doesn't have arms or anything. It's just kind of walk around on legs, and it's kind of cute, almost rat-like or mouse-like, hiding, and that's kind of sort of what allows Elsa to kind of like try to communicate with it, because it doesn't seem to be super aggressive at that point. It's just more cautious. Yeah. But like I said, by the time Dren starts growing and getting more mature, she becomes more human-like, and she's curious about different things, sex or whatever, communicating. There's even that point, which is probably one of the more shocking or drastic moments, is when Dren, after being buried, comes back out, and she has now changed sexes. She has become a male.
Yes.
And clearly it seems that at least from what I kind of gathered from the movie, the male part of these creatures is very aggressive and combative. And so Dren actually ends up raping Elsa out in the woods.
Yeah. It does get raped. But it's like, even though she's getting raped and she's like, again, and she's like fighting her off, there's a part of me that thinks she's like, oh, this is just another part of me experiment.
Yeah. Well, certainly it is, it's kind of like, but it is funny because when she goes like, well, what do you want? Because when he's on top of her, and then he's finally kind of saying words, he's like, inside you, or some shit like that. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, and then she even because Clive's like struggling to fight him, and Elsa could have potentially saved him, but she chose not to. She allowed Drea to kill him.
That's the thing that I was trying to figure out, because you're watching this scene unfold, and obviously there's a point where Elsa is kind of upset about Clive having sex with Adrien. Um, and so you wonder if part of that played into this, like where you know Clive's on the ground, and she's already hit Dren, the male version, once, and so Dren's kind of looking up at her. So she has the kill shot. She has this big rock that she could just finish it, but she hesitates, and thus far, that's when Dren takes his tail and smacks, hits Clive, who then just dies on the ground. And then, of course, Elsa like finishes Dren off by killing it. But I had to sit there and say to myself, well, was that on purpose, or or did she hesitate because she didn't really want to kill her creation? Like, I was trying to figure out, like, just maybe it was a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. Like, and I think part of her was like, right, well, if she kills Clive off, I can take fully control of this situation. But then after that's happened, then I think immediately regretted it. I was like, well, actually, I don't think I can control this version of Dren.
Yeah.
So then she obviously ended up having to kill that version of Dren. But then also kind of with the Clive gone, everyone else gone, and Dren gone, she can kind of hide the evidence of what's going on and like play victim or whatever she was going to intend to do. And then that leads to the end where you have like this cliffhanger where she's in the laboratory and someone's talking to her and you don't see her at first, like a full figure. And then it's suddenly revealed she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got somebody who's offering a lot of money to keep the baby, knowing that she's been impregnated by this creature. Now, any normal woman would probably I'm impregnated by some alien creature that could potentially kill me and say, I'm going to get it aborted for my own safety and protection. But once they offer her a huge chunk of money, and because she's got this curiosity as a scientist, she accepts the money, and it basically ends where she's going to have this baby.
Yeah, she's kind of like, she has that line they've been saying throughout most of the films, like, well, what could possibly go wrong? That's what she basically says. And I don't know, there's like a part of me again that sits there and says, well, maybe she regrets everything after losing Clive and the people. And yet at the same time, as you said, she's very scientific. So again, she's kind of like, well, we haven't tried it where one of these things have been birthed from a human. So let's see what happens. This is what basically her thinking is. I'm either going to live through this pregnancy or I'm going to die. But either way, we're going to find out exactly how this creature is going to be when it comes out from an actual human being. Now, I will warn people that watch this film. There's a very unsettling moment with a cat. And if that would happen in front of me, that Dren would have been dead on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. The cat scene was not pleasant. And that's another reason I think I chose this film, because I know Anubis likes these cats. Let's see how he feels about this one.
Yeah, that's actually a very well done scene. Like, again, this is 2009, so at the time the CGI wasn't as great as it is kind of now, but it seemed to play out pretty well. I mean, obviously no cat was really hurt. I mean, if there was, I'm gonna have to go talk to the studio about that. But the way they did it came out very well. It's very believable. It's not grotesque per se. It's just it's heartbreaking.
It's uncomfortable. Really. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. But so as we said, Elsa, she's chosen to take money, probably a big chunk of money from her company to basically be a little secret. She can't tell anybody. It's almost like an NDA. She can't say anything about it. And she's just going to be there to have that baby and then see where the company takes it. Because it's now like almost like a corporation is claiming her baby as theirs, essentially.
Yeah. She's basically selling her baby or selling her soul to the company, because at the end of the day, even if she decided to walk away, would they have even let her walk away, knowing that she's pregnant by some, company experiment? Because basically that's what happened. When even though she was raped by the male version of Dren, once that happened and she was impregnated, she's pregnated with a foreign body. So at the end of the day, either the company wouldn't have let her go or the government wouldn't let her go. They couldn't just let her walk the streets knowing she's about to give birth to some sort of, experimental entity. So it's like, even if she hadn't took that check, would they let her go or would they imprison her? I'm assuming that could have been another reason why she went, of course I'll take your money. You're not putting me in a cell.
Either that or she probably, came to them and said, because obviously if they know that she has this creature in her, that she probably came to them and said, look, if you don't give me money or don't help me deal with this pregnancy, then I'm just going to go to a competitor. And, I could see Elsa being like that. She's very conniving and smart like that. So obviously, because that's what they were doing with the other two creatures. They were basically saying, you have to continue this research because sooner or later some other company, a competitor, is going to start figuring it out too, and they're going to beat us to the punch. And that's what they were kind of pushing for. That's why they did the secret thing with Dren, because they totally believed in it. But again, as you said earlier, Elsa and Clive approach it very differently in how, because Clive's very much scientific. He stays to the science, whereas Elsa is a little bit more of, it is science, but she likes it. For her, she does have this vision of like what it can do for humanity to kind of create this. So it's almost like a godlike complex that she has.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how the two different characters play out here. And again, she let Clive go out so she don't have to worry about that aspect anymore.
And another thing is, she could have hid she was pregnant with what happened. She could have said, oh, me and Clive are lovers and it's his child. She could have easily have hid that, because once he died and she probably covered up everything, no one had to know what happened till she started showing. And obviously, I cannot remember if it said how many months or days or weeks after the death of Drea this happened, where she revealed she was pregnant, because that could have been just a couple of days later, it could have been a couple of months, it could have been a week later, and she's suddenly like nearly 9 months pregnant because the baby's just grown exponentially, so that might have been another reason why she's approached the company and said, look, this has happened, this is only a week and I'm ready to pop.
Well, give me your final thoughts and ratings for Splice.
I still like this movie. I still think it's a great sci-fi, horror, psychological movie all rolled into one. I like the concept of the story. I like the scientific side of it. I think it's still interesting, still fun, and still holds up today. It's still one of them films I think that should be talked about. And if I'm going to rate this, I'm going to give this 8 out of 10.
That's fair. Yep. And that's interesting because, I was hovering around like a 7 for this because it is good. It is good. And it has its own twist. And like I said, you have to go into it. Like I went into it blind. I didn't even watch a trailer or nothing. I just kind of like, let me check this out. Because I remember it being promoted back then, but I just never got around to seeing it. And so, but once you mentioned what the director had done, like I hadn't even looked at that. And Cube and Come True are two of the best movies you'll ever see in your life. Like I highly recommend anybody check those films out.
Yeah.
So for the fact that he did those films plus this one, I'd move my rating up to an 8 because I think this is a very good film. It does do some interesting things. It is unique. But even though like I've come out like, like I don't know how often I would watch this one because the characters aren't that likable, but at the same time, again, the plot is very cool. And the special effects are good and everything, the CGI, it all works.
Well, that's what I think. Like I say, I've watched it maybe twice before and I've never watched it for a good 4 or 5 years since I watched it. And for me, it's not necessarily the characters, it's just the plot and the sheer story and the science of the story that really intrigues me. And it's true, there's that scene, isn't there? Especially, this is how I would describe her character and the story. They say hell's always paved in the road of good intentions.
Yeah.
So basically, she's got good intentions to do these experiments to help the world by finding cure for illnesses and diseases, but at the same time, the deeper she goes, the darker things get. And in the end, the end result is people die, and she's now getting deeper and deeper into this dark world. And unfortunately, there isn't a sequel, so we don't know the end result of what would have happened after her pregnancy.
Here's another question real quick. So we talked about how different Clive and Elsa are in terms of how they approach things. However, there's a part of me, because Clive did end up having sex with Dren, and initially when Dren kissed him, he pushed her away and said no. He tried to treat her like a pet. But then he eventually does have sex. But there's this moment that when Elsa is on top of Clive in the couch and they're having sex, I know that Clive sees Dren's shadow behind the curtain of her room. So clearly he knows that Dren had been watching, but it's almost like as soon as he kind of sees Dren, he like ends up finishing faster. So part of me wonders if he's just kind of like a morbid guy that kind of really was attracted to Dren in some weird way.
Always got a fetish where he likes people watching him have sex. He could be an exhibitionist, and he's when he's on his days up.
I mean, by the time, because like initially after he pushes Dren away, I'm like, okay, so he's got some common sense. But then the next thing you know, she's on top of him, and I'm like, oh, he went all in. He's all about exploring this. Yeah. But it got me wondering about that scene prior, because it's like he's looking at the doorway, and then all of a sudden he like finishes really fast after they'd been kind of going at it for a little bit. So I'm just wondering if he got too excited that Dren was there, and that he was maybe thinking of her.
Or could have been the opposite read, where he knew frightened she was going to walk in, so he thought, I better hurry.
Yeah.
But
something.
at the end, he gave in. He in the end proved that he was just as kind of selfish as Elsa, because he ended up giving in to his his cravings, and ended up actually finally having sex with her.
Yeah. Well, I do have my pick for next month. It's going to be another fun one. You and I have actually talked about this film a number of times, just for different reasons. But going into next month, we are getting around to The Relic.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So I'm ready to dive back into this film. I haven't seen it since I've really seen it in the theaters. I've seen it like once outside of that, but it's an amazing film, and I do want to revisit.
It's a great movie. I think Anthony Jordan might want to join with that one.
That'd be fine. I don't have any problems with people joining in anytime. Yeah, again, people that you and I say it all the time. For those that are watching, if you have any recommendations you want us to check out and look and see and try to do some reviews for, let us know. We always take it in requests if you have one, but if not, it means you must be enjoying what we're picking, so that's good too. Speaking of which, what do you have coming up on Entertainment Headquarters? I know you got a pretty good plate of stuff.
May is going to be a jam-packed month for the Entertainment Headquarters. So first and foremost, the first thing I'm going to be doing on the Saturday, the 2nd of May, I'm going to be doing the next Kaiju Connections classic film review, and we're going to be talking about The Giant Claw. Then after that, on a Tuesday, I'm going down to London to see Stranger Things, The First Shadow. So there will be...
friend?
Yeah, this is going to be me and Jill. We're going to be talking about that when we'll pick a date. Don't know when we're going to do I'm going to put the blog together when we travel, and then I'm going to edit it together with the conversation when we pick a date for when we can meet up and do that. Then on the 13th, I'm going to be doing the next Into the Darkness discussion, which is going to be the Hostel films, which I'm looking forward to that. Then on the 16th of May, we're then going to be talking about... it's not. That's the week after. The 16th of April, 16th of May, I'm going to be doing a live building the DeLorean. So I've got a DeLorean model kit that I'm going to put together. Hopefully, if I don't get pissed off, it won't end up getting smashed across the wall. But
God.
And then the 23rd of May, we've got your pick for the Retro Classic Movie Show, which is Under Siege. And then finally, on the 30th of May, you and me are going to get together to talk about the Hellboy films. So I've already watched the first one again. Had so much fun doing that. So I've just got the other 3 to go. Other 3 to go.
Yeah, I probably those. I mean, I'll rewatch the first 2 for sure. I've saw like maybe the first 10 minutes of the 2019 one, but I never finished it, so I have to force myself to go finish that one. Which is a shame because I do love David Harbour. He's a great actor.
I guarantee you, though, when you watch it and you watch it all the way through, guarantee you the last 5 minutes are the best part of the movie.
So that's good. That's good. At least it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
For me, later today, Action Film Autopsy, episode 49. I'm actually hosting it this time because Samurai could not, but he will have either drop in. I know he has a video he's got that I'm going to be playing, but I am going to do it live. Usually I do a recording with Rick, but I'm going to do it live so people can kind of tune in and then chat with us if they want. Then Wednesday, I'm going to get back with Big Mike. We're going to do our recap of the 2026 NFL draft, just basically talking about the draft picks that our respective teams take. I'm a Bronco fan. He's a Steeler fan. So we're going to just talk about that and some of the other picks as well for a little bit. Then Thursday, we're going to do a couple of reviews, Neko and I. Was going to do it last night, but just got busy with Diablo 4, fortunately, because I'm going to be playing that game a little bit. But we got a chance to see 28 years later and 28 years later, The Bone Temple. So we are going to be reviewing those films back to back.
I'm going to look forward to that.
Yeah.
I've reviewed them both myself. The first one, I know a lot of people are very disappointed in it. I've got a different take on it. I quite enjoyed it because it was a coming of age story. I like that side of it. I think a lot of people are disappointed because with it being the anticipation of the new sequel, they were expecting to be completely jam-packed, action-packed. And then this one after that is just totally batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's funny because I was going to do reviews anyway, but when Neko was done with both those films, she could not stop talking about them. Like she was in love with them. So you're going to get to see a side of her because she says, she told me she had to go back and try to watch the first 2 again, or at least the first one, because she tried doing that a while back, but then she's like, I just can't get into it. I'm like, really? And I was kind of surprised because the first 2 are very good. But she loved the last 2. Like she's like, these are just amazing. Like, so you'll get to
now
hear
that
her.
I've seen all 4. If I had to put all 4 together, I think my least favorite's the second one, 28 Weeks Later.
Probably,
yeah. For me,
it's still good, but yeah, I can see why it would be on the lower list. Like these. I was really surprised because everyone was talking about 20 years later, and like you had said, before that. People had mixed reactions to it, and people were saying Bone Temple was better, which it probably is on some level. But I love Ralph Fiennes. Like that dude can act. He is so amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I have to just say this because the minute it happened, I was like, fucking, this is why Kevin loves this, because Iron fucking Maiden.
Yes.
The minute that shit happens, me and her are just like lighting up. We're like, holy fucking shit. And I said, this is why Kevin likes this film.
Oh, I love that.
Did your dad see this film by chance?
Oh, hell yeah.
he had to eat that shit up. That was so good.
Obviously, that's his favorite film in the series.
Of course. Yeah, so we're going to have a lot to talk about on that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll get Neko's perspective because, like, she was like, "Is there another one? Don't they have another sequel yet? Because I'm ready to go. Let's watch it."
Well, the thing is, the first film did really well. The first 28 years later, the second one hasn't done as well, and I think a lot of people are turned off by the first one. But the second one was a lot better received critically by the critics, and the plan was a trilogy.
Yeah,
and the first one
obviously another one. I think they're still
doing
one.
Well, Danny Boyle, who did the first 28 days later, co-wrote the new trilogy, but he directed the first one. Then it was Nina DaCosta, I think her name is, who was a female director who I think is so underrated. She is an amazing director, and I believe she deserves more credit and a lot more praise for how good the second one is. Which anybody that is interested, I've got me reviews of 28 years later and 28 years later, The Bone Temple, on my channel, The Entertainment Headquarters. If you want to know what my full opinion of it was, but she's a brilliant director, and she deserves more opportunities in Hollywood as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for us today. I appreciate the pick. Obviously, did a good job with the selection. We're doing all right with that. So looking forward to the Relic next month, obviously.
Yeah.
For the rest of you, let us know your thoughts on this film. Have you seen it? What do you feel about it? And just give us your thoughts, and hit like and subscribe. And please go like and subscribe to the Entertainment Headquarters. Very great channel, great content over there as always. And we'll see you next time on the Cinematic Synergy.